Hi, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Driscoll.
And I'm Jim Kerr.
And welcome to 15 Minutes of Fame. Well, Jim, we'll start off this award-nominated YouTube show, I guess, here. We're not going to start with the Oilers this week, Jim. We're going to start with something else. There's some big news this weekend. UFC 158 happened. Let's start with your feelings on the main event here.
Well, welterweight champion Georges St-Pierre successfully defended his title against challenger Nick Diaz, who kind of skipped the line a little bit to get that title shot. In the days leading up to the big fight, Diaz missed an open workout. He said he got in late, needed to sleep. It was kind of funny. They're like, well, everyone else has to do it, blah, blah, blah. Diaz goes, GSP lives in Montreal.
Yeah, exactly.
He lives here. And,
fair,
that's a good point, yeah. There was some other stuff, though. He kind of accused GSP of taking steroids. You got to remember these guys are all agitated. They're cutting weight. They're doing all kinds of stuff.
That's right.
And he's just, I think sometimes he just says what comes to his mind.
Definitely. He
doesn't let that filter the rest of us sometimes use.
We have filters?
Well,
okay, everybody else.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Probably
but once we finally got down to it, it was months and months of anticipation. I couldn't wait, and the fight kind of went exactly how I think a lot of people had it in their mind.
Yeah.
GSP came out in the first round. He took him down. He controlled him on the ground for most of that round. They surprised a few people by spending a lot of the rest of the fight on their feet.
Standing up, yeah.
Yeah, but in the end, it was Georges St-Pierre coming out on top in a unanimous decision. I don't think there was any doubt as the fight wore on. Nick Diaz had some good things going for him. He started to stuff some takedown attempts by GSP, but he wasn't getting much going offensively. And you need to score points to win fights, as he knows all too well. So Georges St-Pierre comes out, retains that title again, and we'll see what happens next with Nick Diaz. But he's kind of talking, on one hand, he's pondering retirement. On the other hand, he says he wants a rematch. I hope he doesn't retire. I personally, I want to see him beat the crap out of somebody.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are being exposed to Nick Diaz for the first time in the lead up to this fight, and they didn't really get to see the Nick Diaz that you're used to seeing.
Right.
So if you look back to his Strikeforce days, he's pounding on guys, and he didn't really get a chance to box too much on Saturday night. So I hope they give him a shot somewhere else, and I hope he fights someone and shows everyone what he can do, and maybe gets a little reinvigorated and gets back into the fight game a little bit more. And maybe we can see him take another run at the belt. I know a lot of people don't like Nick Diaz, but try and get to know.
I'm one of those guys. Yes.
Try and get to know the guy. What interests me about him is his mind frame and sort of, I don't know.
There's the color. You like the color.
There's something about him that it's not even necessarily all the brash statements and all that. I was. The press conference leading up to this one, he was going off on all different tangents, and
right.
I was finding it too much. Like he was coming off crazy,
a little
bit crazy.
Yeah.
But I think if you take some time to sort of get to try and understand him a little bit, he's an intriguing guy. He's a hell of a fighter.
Yeah, he is.
And I hope that's not the end of the line for him, because that'd be it. You didn't really get to see what he's all about there.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so that's that fight. But let's talk a little bit of what the future is for GSP, and provide a little context with that, because the fight before the main event was between Condit and Hendricks.
Yeah, GSP's future involves a bearded man.
Yes.
Johnny Hendricks. He took on Carlos Condit. It was a close fight. It was a close fight, but what wasn't close was the height and reach differentials in this one. Condit has about 7 inches
Condit
reach.
is huge compared to Hendricks.
On Johnny Hendricks, yeah. But Hendricks has this ability to get inside on guys and unload with his fists. He has got a couple of semi-rigs attached to his arms. Like, he can punch. Like, I don't know if there's anybody with the power that he has. Obviously some of the heavyweights can probably punch harder, but he's got this ability to hit a guy when he's, maybe should be expecting it, but isn't expecting it. Yeah. He gets guys, and Condit got tagged a few times, and he's also got, he's got the ability to avoid a lot of things. Like, Condit threw flying knees a ton of times, and it looked like they were connecting, but when you watch the replays, his head's going down because he's about to do what he did 12 times in this fight, which is take Carlos Condit down with ease.
12 times in a 3-round fight.
His takedowns are funny too, because it's not your traditional takedown. Yeah. He'll pick a guy up and power slam him onto the ground. Yeah. You saw it again and again, and you could tell Carlos Condit had no answer. There was a few times. There was one in particular where Condit gets taken down, and you see him just kind of shake his head
he knew. Again?
Yeah. So Hendricks is now 15-1. He was supposed to be the next in line before Nick Diaz kind of got to jump the queue. Hendricks wasn't happy about it. Dana White said, "Well, you're in no position to be demanding fights. Exactly. So wait your turn. It's gonna happen. You're a good fighter. So it's gonna happen now, I believe, and that should be a good one. I don't know how those two match up. GSP. I don't know if he's had to face a guy that can throw him like Hendricks can. It might be kind of if you're not a fan of the wrestling, it might not be that much fun for you to watch, because it might be a lot of that. But I think that's got the potential to be another great fight, and it's a huge test for GSP. If he can beat Johnny Hendricks, I mean, he'll be close to cleaning out that division again.
That fight is going to be an absolute clinic.
It'll be great.
Like pure MMA to watch that.
And the other thing about Hendricks is that he apparently busted his hand in this fight with Condit. So
we'll see how long you could see to come back.
Yeah, you could see between, I think it was the second and third, his corner made mention of it, and you see him look down at his hand, but he was still throwing bombs in that third.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're not gonna.
I don't know how broken it was, but that might delay this fight a little bit. But I think we'll see it as soon as both guys are ready to go.
Amazing. Let's move on to the Edmonton Oilers then. They put a few points together in the past week, but seriously, Jim, I want to frame this in the context of, is there any chance of making the playoffs?
Jeff.
Come on, give it to me straight.
There's always a chance.
Ah, there it is.
Until they're mathematically out. But in all seriousness, it is a pretty tight, division. There's room, but I mean, the way they're playing, the way they're not stringing together wins, the way that even when they are winning games, they're not looking all that convincing. I don't know. It's not looking good. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're picking up points. I think they're playing relatively well. They ended that road trip pretty nicely. They lost to the Red Wings in overtime. A beautiful goal by Pavel Datsyuk.
Oh man.
But it might be a case of, the young team and the grueling season, and maybe by the end of the year we'll be saying, thank God it was a 48-game season.
Yeah, no kidding. Exactly.
But I think until they're mathematically gone, there's always a chance, because they could go on a run. They could win 4 or 5 games in a row. You just never know. If they make the playoffs, will they go deep? You just never know.
We'll see.
If I had to make a guess, I would say probably not. Okay. Which I do. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope they make the playoffs, but you know what? They're not beating teams they should beat.
Yeah.
Yes, they'll look good against the Chicagos and the Detroits.
Right, because they play up.
That's but they also do the opposite.
Yeah, they play down.
And that until you're beating teams that you should beat,
right,
you're not going to be in that position. Yeah, that is the key for sure. And in the last couple of years, they look good against good teams. They always do.
They always do.
That it's very rare that they get entirely outclassed by somebody better than them.
Yeah.
They've been entirely outclassed.
Oh yeah, totally. Nashville.
Yeah, and a lot of times you go, how are they?
Yeah.
how are we?
Which
how are they
team's going to
losing
show
this?
up? Like
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I don't know what that's if that's a mental thing, if that, whatever it is, but it comes down to the word consistency.
We'd like to see
and until they're playing at this level or this level or this level, no matter who they're playing, it's going to be a problem. But if it's Detroit, Chicago, Columbus, Minnesota, Nashville, and then they're back up here for the next big game, you're going nowhere with that.
No, that's exactly right. We got a big second half of the show here, folks. We're going to get to it real quick. But let's talk about real quick, Jim, one of our favorites here on 15 Minutes of Fame, Leo Messi.
Messi scored a couple of goals in a 4-0 Barcelona win against AC Milan this week, helping the 4-time World Player of the Year, helping his team reach the Champions League quarterfinals. No English clubs in the quarterfinals of the Champions League this year.
There it is.
Messi is still playing amazing soccer, of course. A bit of a rough stretch for Barcelona before that win. They had lost in their first leg against Milan. They've lost a couple against Real Madrid, some El Clásico. It was a big one. I mean, I think had they crashed out there, it would have been a big, it would have been big news.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll see where they go from now. But that it should be an interesting quarterfinal and final and semifinal in the Champions League, and I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, let's get on to the GABBYs now. Like I said, we got a big second half here. Let's start out with the good side of things with a nod to the UFC for taking women's MMA to the next level exposure-wise. Dana White announced on Saturday that Ronda Rousey and the winner of another fight will become the first 2 female coaches of The Ultimate Fighter. The show will have both a men's and a women's bantamweight division, which I love the bantamweight division. That is so much fun to watch. Little guys who are just like crazy full energy. Oh, man, it's so much fun. So that should be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, and there'll be guys and girls living in the house.
See how that goes.
Yeah, that should be fun. I'm sure that'll be good to watch.
Well.
Let's give a good to the Orlando Predators of the Arena Football League for giving it the old college try. They've extended an offer to Tim Tebow to join the team if he doesn't catch on with an NFL club. To make it legit, though, they brought up the fact that Kurt Warner played there and had a lot of good things to say about the league upon his return to the NFL. Should be interesting, though, to see if Tim Tebow makes an NFL roster somewhere, and if not, where he ends up.
Yeah, I think Tim Tebow is going to end up being a third string on some team. I really do. I think he's going to take a little humble pie and be okay with being a third string.
I think he's a pretty humble dude. But
that's a good point.
Then again, who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been fooled by pro athletes before.
That's true.
I thought you were a good guy till I met you.
Well, yeah, and see, that's the thing. I give off the fact that I'm a good guy, but really,
behind closed doors,
once you get to know me, I'm a jerk. So where do you segue? How do you segue? At least on the top, off your feet, off the top of your head. How do you segue from that? Well, let's do this. And a good to Zach. See how I did that? Sikich, the 32-year-old one-time goalie trainer for the Anaheim Ducks. He found himself in the team's lineup last week due to an injury during the warm-ups against Minnesota. I love this. He got the call and came in, and he was on the bench for something like 15 minutes until one-time Edmonton Oiler Jeff Delorier got the call up, got there from the ECHL. He says the best part of the experience was sitting down at a locker stall and then getting ready to head out for the NHL game. It's something that every single one of us wants to do, Jim.
Yeah.
Even just to sit on the bench for 15 minutes, getting a warm-up. I love the picture of him, and he's smiling, and he had blue pads, too. I like that.
Yeah, he had some very loud pads.
Yeah, he did.
I'd love to walk into the arena, maybe got the iPod in the one ear, shirt and tie, Starbucks in hand, and
absolutely.
Hey fellas, yeah.
Walk right by the security, you
yeah.
know?
Johnny, how's it going? Yeah. And sit down at the stall, take the tie off. It's been a hard day. All right, that morning skate. Woo! Oh, that'd be an experience.
Fantastic.
Let's kick off the bad side though with a not so fantastic story. The story of Giorgos Katidis, a midfielder in the Greek Super League. Scored a game-winning goal for AEK Athens recently. Followed it up by taking his shirt off and giving a Nazi salute.
Yeah.
Let that sink in for a second. He says he had no idea what it meant.
Please.
I mean, I don't know. That's something you're taught.
Especially in Europe.
World War II was kind of a big
big
thing.
Deal.
Big thing. It doesn't seem to have mattered that he says he doesn't know what it meant because they banned him for life from all Greek national soccer teams. Maybe a touch of overreaction because, it's just a guy doing a thing, but still, that's people are still a little bit touchy about what happened.
Well, and that's fair enough. I saw his Twitter afterwards. He's apologizing. He said he has no idea what it is, but like we were saying, that's tough to.
I mean, of all the hand and arm gestures that are just kind of universally known,
that's
pretty. I mean, that's up there with the middle finger.
Oh, totally,
I think.
Absolutely.
It's got to be close, anyways.
How about a bad I love when Jim gives me the fun names.
I didn't give you Giorgos Katidis.
Yeah, that's true. You're good like that. Former NBA player Renaldo Balkman, and that's not hard. I'm going to get that's not bad. Who's currently playing for the Philippine Basketball Association for the Petron Blaze Boosters. Say that 10 times fast. He thought he'd been fouled in a recent game, so he bumped a couple of refs, pushed an assistant coach, tossed a teammate to the side, then grabbed another teammate by the throat. He, too, has been banned for life and fined. No kidding.
Yeah, that doesn't usually fly. I mean, there's at least a foul in there.
Yeah,
somewhere.
There's at least a foul. Maybe a flagrant. I don't know.
Yeah, but happy trails, Mr. Balkman.
Happy trails.
Because I think that's, if you're in the Philippine Basketball Association, I don't know where you go from there, to be honest. Maybe you can play for the Ottawa Tomahawks.
Yeah, there you go.
And a bad this week to Michael Taylor of the Oakland Athletics, who's missed some spring training time with an injury. And it's our favorite type of injury here on 15 Minutes of Fame. Taylor sliced his pinky open when he tried to throw away a wad of gum and hit the light on the ceiling of the dugout. Jeff, I've got 99 problems, but being 6'5" ain't one.
Ain't one of them. Absolutely.
And that I could see, you're up there and you get the...
Yeah, you're all the way up at the top there.
Sliced his finger wide open.
I love it. Baseball. Just one more thing. We talked about Grambling State recently and figured we should probably update you on their season. They lost a tournament game recently to push their record to 0-28 for the year. But the 59-51 loss was their first single-digit loss of the season. So, congrats.
Way to be, Grambling State.
Yeah, good
at least,
State.
You got to take the positives out of these things, Jeff.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll keep you updated on these guys a little bit.
So they were a basket away from a double-digit loss.
Yeah, a basket away. Just so everybody, realizes.
I hope someone went, balls to the wall to block the final shot.
Oh, totally.
And they lifted that guy on their shoulders and ran off the court.
Exactly. Can you imagine when they do win, what that other team is going to be feeling? It's just we lost to Grambling State, really?
If they're smart, they'll challenge the Oilers to a game.
Oh, there it is. Nice. That was a good one. I like that. The punchline this week, and yes, folks, there is more, is a college basketball fan who almost won $50,000.
That's right, Jeff. This one hurts.
Yeah.
Alex Perman had to make a layup, a free throw, a three-pointer, and a half-court shot in 24 seconds at a recent game between Creighton and Wichita State at the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. If he did that, he'd walk away with a cool $50,000. Here's what happened. He made the layup, he drained the free throw, he ran the half court, sunk the long toss, and the crowd understandably went wild. But he forgot the three-pointer.
Oh, no.
He forgot the three-pointer.
That's too bad.
That's tough. He says there was a bit of miscommunication. He said he was told one thing, and what the guy on the intercom was saying was something different, but he wasn't listening.
No.
He was too excited.
Oh, I can imagine.
$50,000 hanging in the balance right here. Just out of reach.
Oh, brutal.
So it's not all bad, though. There's a silver lining. They gave him tickets for life to the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament.
That's good.
I don't know what that's worth.
Yeah.
And a 3-day hotel stay for next year's event. So, there's that.
Right.
He's got tickets and he got something out of it. he got to be on 15 Minutes of Fame, not in person.
Gotta be.
He tried to be, but here's something you should know, people. Jeff and I are very serious about our first time.
Very serious.
So
yeah, oof.
If your face is this wide,
right,
or this wide,
yeah,
you're allowed on the show.
That's it.
Other than that, you're cutting into my space.
We don't want that.
No,
it just doesn't work.
No, is that so much to ask?
Is that so much to ask? It is our show.
It is our show.
Co-award nominees.
Especially now that it's an award-nominated show.
That's an award-nominated show. You know it.
All kinds of people trying to get on. Kate Upton, we're almost done.
She's at your house right now.
All kinds of people trying to get on the show, Jeff.
All kinds of people.
This one, when I said no, you gotta fit your face.
That's right.
Right here. That tells a story right there.
That does tell a story.
You can't just come on the show.
No, come on now. Absolutely.
You got to work your way up to the minor leagues.
Because this is the majors.
We'll do some simulated shows.
Yes.
To see where you're at. Maybe you'll get the call.
Yeah, you can submit your simulated shows to us, and we'll evaluate them. And,
we'll check them out.
See if something's working there. Okay. Well, that's our 15 Minutes of Fame up for this week. Join us again next week for a whole new 15 Minutes of Fame. In the meantime, I'm Michael Taylor's Pinky.
And I've used up all my witty punchlines.
Nice.
So I'm Jim Kerr still.
Still. Have a good week, folks.